What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a good day. I was on the news a little bit earlier today, and I run across something about the DART mission. It was on ABC News thing. You might find it on the ABC News app or the website. It's called Amaze Lab. Amaze Lab. So y'all can look it up and everything like that. But it was about the DART mission and everything. So I kind of got interested in it. I've looked into it before, guys, and it didn't really make a whole lot of sense what was going on there. I kind of suspected that something else was afoot. So we'll get into that and how it applies to what's currently going on in our space, outside of our atmosphere, in outer space, as they call it, and everything, and what's been going on. So anyway, and we'll read something from Claude AI. I did use them to help me do some research. So yes, NASA's DART mission successfully changed Dimorphos orbit when the spacecraft deliberately crashed into an asteroid on September 26, 2022. It had a significant impact. The collision shortened Dimorphos' orbital period around its larger companion, Didymos, by about 33 minutes. Again, guys, pay attention to these numbers and the words are used here. It's kind of important. 33 minutes, down from 11 hours, 55 minutes, down to approximately 11 hours and 22 minutes, guys. It's just these numbers right here kind of should stand out. 11 and 22 is 3 and 3, okay? So that's kind of important. And it also moved about 120 feet, which 1 and 2 makes 3. Again, guys, these are important. Reducing the distance around them between the two from roughly 3,900 feet to 3,780 feet, which is about 120 feet, as I said. The impact was much more effective than expected because the momentum enhancement effect. While a direct collision would have changed the orbit by around 7 minutes, the recoil from the tons of rocky debris blasted into space by the impact substantially enhanced the push, similar to how a balloon shoots backwards when air is released. It also changed the Dimorphos shape into a relatively symmetrical squash ball form into an elongated watermelon shape. Watermelon shape, guys. You'll remember a couple of years ago we had this interplanetary visitor, the Umaganda, whatever you want to call it, the cigar shaped, or maybe mushroom shaped. And it created a massive debris field that was quite spectacular. Here's some details. The debris tail ejected over 1 million kilograms. That's 2,200 million pounds of debris into space. And it produced a dust plume that developed into a 6,200-mile long dust trail that persisted for several months. This is about the width of the United States. The tail formed when the solar radiation pressure pushed the debris away, blah, blah, blah. The debris field, guys, was 6,200 miles. That is the range from New York to Tokyo. Across the other way, it is 80% of the diameter of Earth. That's how big it is. Now, I did ask it how big in measurement it was. We'll see about that here shortly, but it would never give me a complete answer. The boulders range, here again is a significant number. The boulders range from 3 to 22 feet in diameter. Again, 232, guys. This is Masonic numbers. All these are Masonic numbers, okay? 37 to 104 boulders was ejected, ranging in size from 2 meters to 3.6 meters in radius, shooting away at 52 meters per second. Now, I'm bringing into question about this, guys. I want to show y'all something here, if I can, real quick. Let me bring that up real quick. Is the size of this thing was approximately 4 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet, 4 feet cubed, okay? Now, it's kind of hard to imagine that size. It also weighed 1,280 pounds, guys. And I want to show y'all something right here, how big this thing was. This is one of those little French cars, I believe it was. I'm not sure the model was. But it weighed around 2,000 pounds, 2,100 pounds, guys. So this thing weighed less than this thing right here. all together with the solar cells and everything else, weighed less. In fact, guys, I did some checking here, and it weighs as much as one of these right here, a John Deere X700 series lawnmower. It weighs as much as one of these with a full-grown adult, 200 pounds, and a full load of fuel and oil and everything else. That is approximately 1,200 pounds, 1,280 pounds, all together with fuel, oil, and a person riding. Average size adult male. Okay, I'm just guessing, not average, but a 200-pound male adult, and fuel and oil. That's how big this thing. And as far as the length, this is approximately 4.5 feet long. It is approximately a little over 3.5 feet tall, and is a little over 2.5 feet wide, maybe 3 feet wide, counting the deck. So this satellite that they shot at this place was just a little bit bigger than the John Deere lawnmower you use to mow your yard. And that's kind of big, guys. Now, the debris field it put out, guys, was 6,200 miles long. And they have no estimate how big it was, but we try to look into it here real quick. I'm going to bring up y'all some stuff. So, get this up here. The double asteroid test redirection. Y'all can find these articles on Google or anywhere else you search and everything. And what was the goals demonstrate asteroid deflection with kinetic impactor. Now again, I questioned this idea about the impact it made by just kinetic energy. I mean, smacking into it, guys. Let me show you something here real quick. This is supposedly an image of the impact. It was an explosion, guys. You can see the fireballs and the explosive material. It was going at, I forget how fast they said it was, around 3,100 miles an hour. So yeah, it's going to make a big bang here, but it's not going to explode like this. Here's some other pictures I want y'all to see and everything. Go ahead and bring it up here a little bit. We'll go ahead and talk about it. This is another rendition of what it did. It hit it, changed its orbit. This thing had its solar cells this big, guys, all the way across it. Pretty startling. Here's another rendition of what it looked like. A 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot cube hit this thing. It made a 50 meter crater, which is approximately 66 feet, I think. Y'all can figure it out and everything like that. I can't remember the numbers. Again, the numbers mean something. And here's a kind of a rendition of what it did when it crashed into it, guys. It changed its orbit and made a big debris field. Again, same image again. Before DART impact, the asteroid moonlet Dimorphos was approximately 160 to 170 meters in diameter. It was like a squash ball. But after the impact, it was a triaxial ellipsoid, or like a watermelon. Again, that thing we had come in a few years ago, guys, kind of looked like this, Ummagana, or whatever it was called, the Visitor, they called it. So it brings into question, what are they telling us about this stuff? Here's some more stuff about it right here. Squashed. Okay, here's another article to go with it. After the DART mission, the impact on its shape changed from a regular spheroid, 170 meters diameter, to a more elongated, irregular shape with significant changes to its surface, losing mass and developing a dusty trail. What do we have now flying through our near space inside of our solar system that has a big dusty trail? We don't have no real measurements. We don't have no real photographs of it except what they tell us they have. And of course, everything is blurry. Now, the end result is approximately 80 meters by 100 meters. Y'all can do the math on this. It's like 1.2 feet per meter. So you can get an idea about how much it is. That's about 120 feet, I think it is, by approximately 90 feet. 120 is 3, 90 is 333. So the numbers mean something, guys, each and every time. The surface, it developed a dusty trail, and the surface became a brighter, bluer, temporary due to the ejected material. So what do we have in space that looks blue, and it's got all kinds of ejected material, and they're telling us they don't know what the hell it is? Again, back to the blue car. So we have questions, guys, big questions about this. So we'll go back to this place right here. We'll read a little bit more. What was DART? The mission, the goals and targets, impact, the dates, and everything like that. And we got some stories about it. Y'all can look this up. I did a Wikipedia thing on it too, and got about the same information that you would expect. Of course, Wikipedia is open source information. Anybody can add anything they want to and make up anything they want. But you can see the numbers, guys. Go to Wikipedia, look it up yourself. But there's a lot of threes in the description of this. Now, the planetary defense, now, it was done by the United States or NASA and European Space Agency was going to do one each. And they decided to go together on this and do this as a joint effort. Remember the other day that the European Planetary Defense Agency went active? Yeah. Okay, how is this all tying together? So again, how big was Dimorphos before and after? After the DART impact, it couldn't tell me. Its dimensions were redistributed to approximately 177 by 174 by 116 meters. I didn't do the math on this, guys, so I'll let y'all do it. But then again, here's the number again, 33 minutes and 15 seconds, which is 6. So again, the numbers are a thing. There's more about it. You can read on and more if you want to and everything. I didn't go into it. Again, I asked how big it was, and it will not tell me exactly. But the thing, guys, is it is wide. It wouldn't tell me how wide it was. And that's really what I wanted is big, is how wide this was. So they're still measuring because they're saying right now that this asteroid turned into a giant rubble pile. And it's still congealed together somewhat, held together by its own components, magnetism and gravitational stuff and all that kind of crazy stuff they try to tell us. But it's up there, all right? We are right now, guys, they announced the other day, I think it was on MBB 333 or Mr. BP Earthwatch, that they said we started entering into another asteroid field that is full of rocks and everything. And that's why we're getting so much stuff coming into our atmosphere. Also, I read across the article the other day that's talking about satellite wars. They're using all these satellites now to use them as weapons against other satellites. You know, they can't use nuclear weapons or anything like that, conventional warheads, against other satellites. This is called space wars, but they can use space junk to crash into each other and cause them to lose orbit. That's why we probably see another reason why we see a lot of this debris field coming in, again, the asteroid field. And remember, guys, that we started seeing these Gemini and all these other new asteroids that we started coming into our atmosphere not too long ago. And suddenly, all of a sudden, we're getting them all year round that we never had before. And this was shortly after the impact on the asteroid. We've got to do some critical thinking, guys, and hold them accountable for what they're doing. So another thing about this asteroid and its collision and everything like that is, as I mentioned, the impact that it's doing here, guys, that shows the impact in a debris field would not come from a kinetic impact. They're throwing a John Deere lawnmower at a mountain, and it caused this big debris field. No matter how fast it's going, guys, one other thing. It was made out of aluminum and aluminum alloys. So this big tin aluminum can or lawnmower hit this asteroid so fast that it caused this explosion. Let me show you that explosion one more time, guys. How big that explosion was right here. They're telling us that a lawnmower, a John Deere lawnmower, caused this. You be the judge. Now, considering that we don't have any clear photos of Comet 3I or anything else like that, and this debris field is 6,200 meters or 6,200 miles long, and there's no clear definition of how wide it is, what do you think we have out there in outer space they say is completely moving on out towards outer space? Guys, we were being told a bunch of lies about this. I call into question, I believe, hopefully you use some critical thinking yourselves and quit listening to the narrative they tell us and think about what actually happened. I think NASA or whoever is responsible hit this asteroid with a nuclear or thermonuclear bomb or maybe hydrogen, who knows, and it caused the destruction of this asteroid, and that's why we are experiencing so many asteroids recently in the last several years. So that's about it, guys, about this. I want y'all to do some thinking, do your own research, and as always, leave your comments and your thoughts below, whether you like what I say or don't like anything. It always helps me and it helps our audience and everybody else to develop thoughts and critical thinking. Y'all have a groovy day. Later, taters.